Hey guys, my name is Amairani Llerena. I am the next guest for El Paso Creatives podcast. It's an honor to be here. And the title of my episode is You're Not the First, You Won't Be the Last.
I love it. That's a very interesting title for this episode. And I really think there's a lot to speak on that. And so for everybody listening, everybody join in. Hi guys, my name is Isaac Hernandez, the host for El Paso Creatives podcast show. We're not currently at our physical location that we're currently at because just the guy that does our productions out of town and everything. But I'm a very nice to see you, and I appreciate you coming on here last minute from our guest that canceled and everything too. So I appreciate you making the time and coming on here and talking with us. And I know we're also doing the Portography event too together and stuff like that. So we'll touch a little bit based on that first. But before we go on that, I kind of want you to just give us like a 2-minute introduction of who you are, what you do, the type of creative you are.
Yeah, definitely. So I am a self-proclaimed poet. I've been an artist. I consider myself an artist of all well-rounded. Not exactly well taught or technically taught, self-taught. My aunt taught me a lot as well. But yeah, I've been a huge fan of art, a huge creator of art since I was very, very little. Um, I've had a couple of stuff published in local poetry, local zines. I'm sorry, Chrysalis. This is years ago.
Yeah.
And I've also dabbled in modeling, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. So I'm a huge believer in art and a huge believer in pursuing your art, especially if it's your God-given talent. If you sleep on that, it's a sin. So
And I love that you mentioned that if it's a God-given talent, that you're probably meant to do it. I've seen a lot of artists, especially some very close friends of mine who they have an amazing voice. But I also wanted to see your perspective on that of, you have the talent and a lot of people are telling you, hey, you can't do it. You're not going to make it. You go get a real job or something like that. How do you see that? How do you see you, especially becoming an artist and getting inside the creative community? How do you see people telling other people who aren't artists, telling artists that? Did you hear me? I think you cut off a little bit.
no, yeah, I
Okay.
I was able to hear that. Yeah, honestly, it can be really discouraging, especially for those who are starting. It can definitely bring you down. My big thing is if it makes you happy, you have to do it. Otherwise, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to find that true happiness, and you're never going to truly fulfill your purpose here on earth, or even be able to share what you are, what encompasses you.
Right.
Because I think if you feel that creativity within you, and if you feel that need to create and to make, and you're not doing it because people are discouraging you because it's not a real job, I'm sorry, but as an artist, if you're able to brand yourself right, if you have your price tag set at what you're expecting to get from the very start, you can make it. Especially if you say, you know what, fuck, I'm sorry, am I allowed to cuss?
Go for it.
Fuck what people say, I'm gonna do it. There's nothing that can stop you, honestly. The sky is limitless. Like, the universe is limitless, we are limitless. So why are we going to limit ourselves? Why are we going to stop ourselves just because so and so said that we weren't going to make it? Well, so and so isn't trying to do it, you are. So
Right.
you got to stick to it, and you got to do your best. And as long as you're putting your best out there and you're not ashamed or afraid to expose that, nothing's going to go. Obviously you might get a little hurt here and there, but
Right.
the universe gives what you put out.
Mm.
So
And I love it. The key word you said there is limitless. I mean, there's opportunities everywhere for artists to even, I mean, there's this whole thing going on about like, your pictures and all that could be sold as NFTs and you can make a lot of money off of that. And so
right,
it's crazy,
yeah.
the way art is going and the way it's evolving. And so I love how you said it, screw those people who are telling you no and go ahead and do it. And if you're passionate about it, go ahead. I also wanted to talk about the title of this episode, the way you wanted to name it. You said you aren't the first, but you also aren't the last. Speak a little bit on that and why you believe that.
So something that I've always had in the back of my mind is, and it always kills creativity, is to think like this. But I would always think, well, I'm not the first one to think this, or I'm not the first one to say this. Well, the fact is, you're not. You're not going to be, because everything that you've thought has been thought before, and everything that you say has been said before. Everything that you create might have been created before. We're not original, but it's being authentic. It's sticking to that authenticity, to what is original within you, that matters. So, yeah, you're not going to be the first, but you're not going to be the last. So, you might as well be someone. You might as well do what makes you happy, do what you feel is your calling, or what you feel you're good at,
Right.
you know?
I completely agree with that. And also just touching a little bit more on that, kind of getting a deeper dive on that. Um, what challenges have you faced, especially coming into the creative industry? Kind of sacrifices, maybe mistakes that you've done and you've learned along the way.
Um, so I'm very big on community, very big on community, but I'm also very big on your monkey sphere, and who you have on in your inner circle. And I think that has a huge effect and a huge impact on who you are as an artist, because there's a saying in Spanish that says, dime con quién te juntas y te diré quién eres, right? Tell me who you hang out with and I'll tell you exactly who you are. And it's true. We are influenced by those around us. So some of the challenges that I've faced is, sometimes I find myself surrounded by people that are bringing me down, or are just I love El Paso. I love El Paso. Let me just say that. Like, I love my city. I think the people are great. I think, we have so much potential, but we're also, I once had a friend that used to tell me this a lot. He used to say, well, he says, because, he's still here.
Right.
He says that El Paso is a bucket of crabs. And oftentimes in the art community, you'll find that to be true. It's sad, and I think we're growing from it. I think we're in a new age where there's a new era coming in the artist community now, and I can see that community, that unity, that want for us to grow. But there's still that hindering mentality, where if we see someone climbing to the top, we feel the need to bring them down, because if
Right.
I'm not up there, well, they can't be up there. And I think that's where you got to be really, really cautious about, is who you let into your life. And if they have that mentality, cut them. Cut them, because you're not going to be able to grow. They're going to hold you down, and they're going to hold your creativity down. And next thing you know, you're going to be stagnant water, and stagnant water stinks. And that's the last thing you want, is to stink.
I
So,
I absolutely agree with that. And it's a whole, surrounding yourself around the right environment. And so that's something why we always did our first photo meet too, was instead of being very competitive against one another, go out and collaborate with one another, go out and network
yeah,
with one another, go work
yeah,
with each other. That's how you grow. Why are you going to be competing with some,
yes,
especially you're here in El Paso, El Paso has a very limited amount of how much things you can do before you have to leave El Paso. And
exactly.
so instead of competing with each other here locally, why not grow together
Push
out of
each other.
here?
Yes.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so I also wanted to talk about, I think this is the perfect time to throw in this question. So we have Amano who likes to ask a question to you and also socialize. I'll go with socialize one first. That one makes a little bit more sense. Is being that you chose here to be in El Paso and become an artist here in El Paso, how do you see yourself grow here in the community and really build up your platform?
Well, mind you, I'm a little old. Not gonna give my age, but I'm a little old. So I'm just starting to pursue my art. I remember when I was very, very little, my dream was to be an artist. And people would ask me, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, an artist. I want to be an artist. I want to be a painter. I want to paint. I want to draw. I want to make things. And there was this one time when I was a little older, maybe 10, 12, somewhere around there. I shut my dream down real fast. I told myself, you know what? I would love to make these little things. I think I was making like a little clay sculpture for a friend or something. And I was being very detailed. I'm a very meticulous person, so I was being very detailed with it. And I was thinking, man, I would love to do this for a living. But there's machines and there's, robots that do this. And I was little, so that was my mentality is, they got machines for this. Who's gonna want me to do it? So I thought, well, I'll just become a writer and I'll just teach, if worst comes to worst. Um, but now that I'm at this age and now that I'm a mom, I think it's so important for me to be able to pursue my dreams. Otherwise, how am I going to be able to be a testament to my child? To encourage him to say, hey, you know what, like, you can do whatever you want. You want to be an artist, be an artist. You want to be a lawyer, be a lawyer. It's your oyster. The world is your oyster. This is your life and you get to choose.
Mhm.
So being in El Paso, being here, finally deciding to start my art, especially in a time like now where the artist community is just coming together so closely knit, and it's amazing and it's flourishing. I feel like it's going to help kind of push me in the right direction. I would very much like to leave El Paso, have a gallery elsewhere, maybe come back once I'm older. But for now that I'm here, I'm grateful to be here in my hometown, in my city, and to be a part of this community, and to bring life to an already life-filled city.
Mhm. And so the second part of that question would be, and I think you kind of answered it, but I don't know if you want to just detail it a
Oh
little bit.
yeah, definitely.
Um, how do you see your platform and what you're doing helping the community grow, the city grow?
So I believe, not trying to sound conceited, and I'm sorry if it sounds conceited. Long, long, long ago, someone randomly came up to me and told me, "You have you have a spirit in you where you're meant to be a voice to the voiceless, and you're meant to speak for the masses." And when they told me that, I was like, "Wait, hold up, who the fuck are you?" But now, that I'm here in this point in my life and here in El Paso with everything that's going on, um, I feel it now more than ever, where my platform is meant to express those feelings that people don't know how to express within themselves, and be able to help them understand them through my writing, through my poetry, through, the words that I put out in the world. Because oftentimes we don't know how to express our emotions. We don't know how to express what we're feeling in the moment. And it's not until we read a poem or a short story that we're like, "Oh my God, this is what I've been feeling." And when we're in that, I feel like that's the deepest connection that we can have, and that's where I'm trying to strive, is to get to that platform, to that place in my art where I can touch people, and where they can feel, where they can see themselves and a reflection of themselves in what I create and what I'm bringing to them.
I completely agree. And I always say, I tell a lot of people this is like, if it doesn't work for them first, whoever you're helping is definitely not going to work for you. You got to make sure it works for them first before it works for you. And so
Yeah.
I guess that really touches into that next question I wanted to ask you, which is the artistic fears. The what fears as an artist do you go through, and especially also writing block. And then after that, I kind of want to go to another question that I just thought about right now, is your whole poem that you submitted. But let's touch on that one first. Is what fears and how do you get out of your comfort zone, especially being an artist and especially writer's block and all that?
So writer's block is huge. I think it's the number one killer of great writers and poets out there. Um, I had writer's block for about 3 years.
Right.
I had not written a good, decent poem. I had not written anything at all. I just did not want to express myself. I was like, no, I'm done.
Right. And I remember you put I think it was you on the Portography event, you put a brick that said like writer's block on there. It was like,
Correct,
yeah,
yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious. But
I made a little sheet of paper out of a rug and I put a cinder block on it and I said, "Well, this is writer's block,
that
y'all."
was genius. I just wanted to say that before, but go ahead. Keep going.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think the biggest thing with writer's block is embracing it. you can't get past it. You can't, I mean, you can't defeat it by just sitting there and thinking, well, I have writer's block, and fighting it. Fighting it is futile. I think you have to embrace it in order for you to grow. An example, you mentioned my poem that I submitted for the Portography event. I had actually written another poem before that one. Um, and I wrote it several days before the one that I submitted. And when I wrote that one, I was kind of like, you know what, I don't feel it. And mind you, that was the first poem I had written in about a while, maybe a couple months. So now that did this one and submitted this other one, when I wrote that one, I felt like, oh, hold on, this one is the one, the second one. So that's, going back to the whole writer's block thing.
Right.
I think it's not until you break the ice that you're able to really dip your hand in there and pull out the badass lobster for dinner, So yeah, you got to embrace it. If you have writer's block, then write about having writer's block. Hey, piece of paper, I've got writer's block, and just grow on that and build on that. Um, and as for fears, I think the fears will come every single day. Every single day, you're going to be bombarded with reasons as to why you should not do your craft. And so you have to every day remind yourself, no, I'm doing this because it makes me happy. And I don't care, what fear I may have. I'm doing it because it makes me happy. I'm doing it because it makes me happy. I'm doing it because it makes me happy. And so much that you repeat it so much that the fears don't even bother you. Or when they do, you just automatically counter it with, I'm doing it because it makes me happy.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I think you're going to be attacked with that every day as a creative. Self-doubt, you're going to be attacked with it every day. And you might even be attacked with fear of growing, with fear of, I have a friend who's scared of success. And that makes perfect sense, because once you get somewhere, you got to top yourself and you think, damn, how am I going to top myself? But that's the beauty of it. And that's the wonder of being creatives, is being able to top ourselves and being able to push ourselves and see just how far we can go and just how much we can make.
Right. And I want to just follow up on that question is, have you ever hit a point where you almost gave up, but you were glad that you did it and something good came out of that?
Yes, recently actually, before I decided to just pursue my art full time, I said, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I stopped modeling, because I used to model. I used to model for like 4 or 5 years. I stopped modeling. I stopped writing. I stopped making everything. My life was just mom, 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 mom. Um, but I'm so, so glad that I did not give up, because now I feel like, especially as a mom, when motherhood hits, you lose yourself. Like, you'll find out. I'm just kidding. You'll find out when parenthood hits, you lose yourself. You lose
Yes.
yourself. So now that I kind of just, I don't even know what it was, but something in me snapped. Something in me snapped and just said, you can't, you've been sinning for far too long, like I mentioned earlier. And if you die the day of tomorrow, you're not going to be able to proudly say, oh, I did my entire best, because the fact is I didn't. I hid my talent. I hid what I was put on this earth to do.
And I love that. I love that you just continued your passion. How important do you think it is to stay true to your passion? To stay like, so another thing you mentioned was originality and authenticity. How important do you think it is to stay true to that and true to your passion?
Extremely important. Extremely important, because the minute that you let go of doing it because you're passionate about it, and you start doing it because it's making you good money, or because you're just stuck in a loop, um your work pays the consequences of that. So it's seen, it's palpable. You know, you can tell when art is, it comes from a passionate place or when it comes from a generic place. So I think it's so important to always remain, or hold tight to that passion. And there's going to be some days where it's going to die. There might even, it might last moments, minutes, months, years. But if you're able to remind yourself why you started it in the beginning, um, you know, I think that will spark that authenticity. And I feel like, touching back to what I mentioned in the beginning, how we're not the first to think things or say things. Um, I feel like that affects our authenticity a lot. And we shouldn't let that hinder us. We shouldn't let that dictate who we are or who we're going to be or what we're going to present, because our art is our brand. This is our legacy. This is what we're, you know, aside from our children, this is our legacy. This is what we're leaving behind. So if you're not sticking to your guns and you say, well, I'm going to do the easy route and just, you know, this makes money, so let's go this way. You might make money, but you're never going to be truly fulfilled. You're not going to feel that fulfillment in your life, versus when you make something that's authentically you, that comes from a place that's raw, then you'll feel entirely fulfilled. And even if you don't make money, you'll be the happiest person, because you had the courage to expose that raw, authentic self. And
Mhm.
not that many people can say that.
Mhm. I love every word you just said about that. I mean, just staying true to yourself. Um, the next question would be, and Amano asks this in every episode, is what's that one piece of advice that anybody either gave you or that you have that can really help the next generation or somebody who's in following the same pathway? What's that one piece of advice that you would give?
Um, just do it. I know.
I like it. I
So
like
basic.
it.
No, so back in 2016, um, Richie, which you guys already had him on the show prior,
Yeah. Mhm.
he was insisting and insisting and insisting that I go to an open mic and I perform my poetry, go to an open mic, go to an open mic. And there was one day, and he told me one day, just do it, Alma, like just do it. You have to just decide to do it. And so I did that. That's that open mic. I went and I showed up and I performed my poetry, and it was invigorating. It was just, oh, it felt so like that's where I was meant to be, up on that stage, sharing my words, just dropping emotions and roller coasters of verbs and pronouns to people so that they can feel that. So I think the best advice is just do it. Just do it. Your tomorrow is not guaranteed. Your today is what you're in, and if that's all you got, then just do it. You know, the worst that could happen is you mess up or you don't succeed, and then you just go and do something else.
Exactly. And I tell all these artists and musicians too, I'm like, just don't try so hard to perfect one thing. Put as much as you can out there, because it only takes one thing to really hit and change everything. So, like you said, just do it. Just do everything that you've been wanting to try and just experiment. I think experimenting is something really big, especially like, for example, let's say you've never had a piece of pie or a pizza or whatever, and you're over here judging it saying that you don't like pie. Well, how if you never even tried it, you know? So just go out there and experiment. You really just do everything, and you never know what's going to hit that's going to change your whole life or who you're going to meet and everything. um I
Exactly.
also want to talk about branding, and you're starting up your brand as an artist and everything too. Talk about the importance of that as well, and why you think maybe every artist should brand themselves, and maybe even in the digital aspect, like on social media.
Um, well, we are living in a digital age. So if you refuse to do digital branding, social media networking, stuff like that, you're not going to grow much. You're just going to be word of mouth. And nowadays, word of mouth, it really isn't everything. You know, that's not enough. It's not going to cut it. So I think it is very important. I mean, I grew up in a time where we did not have, you know, all of this at our fingertips. And now we literally have access to every single person in the world at our fingertips. We got to take advantage of that, especially as artists. You know, if you want to be the next Picasso, the next Van Gogh, the next Allen Ginsberg, you have to take advantage of social media, of branding. Put your name out there and don't set your price tag low. I think that's the biggest mistake of El Paso artists, is that they start off with their low price tag because they say, well, my art isn't that great. Well, I'm just starting off. Well, you know, no one knows me, so who's gonna buy it? Sweetie, if they want it, they'll buy it. If it's gorgeous, they'll take it. They'll pay $500 if they have to.
Right. Mhm.
I mean, they'll pay $500 for a pair of Yeezys. No, I don't think Yeezys are 500, but they're
Well,
all
did you see what just came out on the news? It was like this blank canvas that a museum paid an artist, and he got paid $84,000, and it's a blank
yes.
canvas. It's
Yep.
crazy. And
Yep.
then that whole banana that sold that was taped onto a wall for millions of dollars. It's a banana taped to a wall.
Exactly. Yeah, you're not gonna succeed as an artist if you don't have hustler mentality. Like you have to put your price tag, you have to set it at a good price from the moment that you start. Otherwise, when you do become big and you raise your price tag, people are going to be like, oh my god, you're so expensive, blah blah blah. Versus if you already start at a, you know, set price that you're trying to aim to, later on when you become good, you're able to get another price tag that's a little, you know, more um proper for, or that's more precise for what it
Right.
is that you're offering,
Mhm. I
you
think
know.
most of it also too is just having that confidence in yourself. Is
Yeah. Oh,
knowing your worth.
networking.
Yeah. Mhm.
I think
Networking. You mentioned
networking is
networking. How
a big
important is that?
thing. Yes. Collaborating, you know, getting with local artists, with whatever it is that your medium is, whether it be photography, writing, music, you know, painting. Like, I think it's so important that you find a good community and that you network with different artists, with different writers, with different, you know, creatives. Otherwise, how are you expecting to become more cultured, you know? I
Right.
believe that the way that we pick up on culture is from people, you know.
Mhm.
A little bit of you, I get a little bit of you, I get a
Mhm.
little bit of you, and that's how we grow, and that's how our mindset expands, and that's how we're able to see the world with a brighter perspective, you know.
Right. And like we just mentioned previously, it's like you just don't know who you're gonna meet. You meet one person who knows a certain somebody who knows how to get you there, and that's all it takes. That's all it
Exactly.
really is. And so the last things I want to touch about is explain to us how excited you are about photography, and why
Oh
you
my
wanted to join
god.
it and what you're seeing with it.
Yes, I'm so stoked. So I was a part of the first photography, but I wasn't I was just in I had some art installations.
I saw the little paintings that were hanging, right?
Yes,
I thought that
correct.
was amazing. And I was even telling Gabelle, I was like, that'd be cool to have these all over the gallery and then tell like little stories of pictures inside of them or something.
Yeah, so that was originally the idea, was to write like poems within them all, but I wanted to have them more cohesive with her poems. So I thought the pouring out vibrant colors kind of, you know, went good with the frames pouring the paint
Yeah.
with
Mhm.
them. So I was like, oh, okay, okay. Um, but this poetography event, I have the great honor of being one of the featured poets. And I'm extremely excited about it. I'm excited to see what the photographers come up
Yeah.
with our work. Like, oh my goodness, I can't wait.
Mhm.
We have a theme, so I'm really excited. I don't know if anyone's talked about the theme. I don't want to like.
No, go ahead and talk about it.
Okay, okay, cool, for sure. Yeah. So we have a theme. It's stages of life. You know, kind of chrysalis type.
I didn't even
And
know the theme. I didn't even know Gabelle came up with a theme, but
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
I'm
we
kind of
have
curious now. I'm like, what's the theme? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, it's stages of life. We have three different poets, and each poet has their own stage of life. So one poet got childhood, one poet got adolescence, and another poet got adulthood. And so each poem kind of ties with the feeling of that stage in life. And obviously the photographers have, or they have um, creative liberty when it comes to interpretation of the poems, which is what makes the whole collaboration amazing. So yeah, I'm super, super excited to be a part of it. I can't
Right.
wait.
Mhm. It's gonna be very, very exciting. And so that
Definitely.
last question I had for you, and I don't know if you thought about it already, is what is something you know now that you wish you would have known when you first got started?
Um, Man, I guess, hmm, it's kind of hard. Something that I know now that I wish I had known. Everything.
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 It's a tough question. Everybody always tells me that that's a tough question because
Yeah,
it's
that's a
it gets
hard
you thinking
one.
about everything you've kind of gone through, and it's just like, well, what's the
Yeah,
hardest thing I went through that I wish I could have skipped that.
right. Well, see, because I was going to say something that, well, no. Honestly, I think it's just stop giving a fuck about what people think. I think I spent way too long, and I don't know if it's age that, like, once you hit a certain number,
Right.
you kind of that weight of society's beliefs or thoughts on you,
Mhm.
it kind of like just falls off, and you're kind of like, oh wow, so this is what it feels like to not give a fuck. Okay.
Because it's you against you, and I told this artist this one time, he was very unmotivated to continue being like what he's doing as far as music artist. I was like, bro, because somebody told him something in the street, and I'm like, that one stranger here in El Paso is gonna ruin your dream because they said something. That one person from El Paso, it's ridiculous. Don't let anybody's judgment. It's you versus you, and it's only you gonna be stopping yourself.
Yes, exactly, and it's true because I mean, who is that person? Who is that person? Like,
Exactly.
what, you're gonna see them one day and then for the rest of your life you're not, but they had such a huge impact that they made you quit your art? No.
Exactly. Hmm.
No, no, no. I think, yeah, it's very important to just, and I know it's hard. It's hard to not give a fuck, especially if you're a people pleaser, because
Right.
I'm a people pleaser. I like, making people happy. I like making myself available for
Right.
people. But you can't let that hold you back
Mhm.
from
And
even.
most of the time, it's not going to work. And most of the time, people aren't going to want that help. People aren't going to want to see you
Exactly,
seeing
yeah.
them happy.
Yeah,
So I always say it's always you first before anybody else. But at the same time, if you have the chance to help somebody, do it because you don't know how big of an impact you can have in their life that you could be that one person who changes their life. It's not maybe
agreed.
you're looking for that one person, but you can actually be that one person as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
So the last
That's
thing
true.
is
It's very true.
give
Um,
yourself a plug. Give yourself, with your social media, where can people find you? Where can they work with you and everything?
yeah, definitely. So I've got two separate social media accounts. My first one is my modeling one, which I haven't really updated it much.
All right.
So that one is Juanita underscore love at 31. I'm sorry, Juanita underscore love 31. And then the other one is my art account, which I just started it because I just started my art. So that one is Amage underscore X. That's AMAGE underscore X. So yeah, you guys can find me there. Follow me, hit me up if you guys, have any questions or whatever's clever.
Awesome. Cool. So now before I let you go, is there any last things you want to mention or say, anything that we didn't probably talk about that you wanted to talk about?
um, Not really. Just always remember to be kind to one another. We don't know what other people are going through. We don't know when it might be their last day and they're just at wits' end and are about to snap. So always be kind and be gentle with
Mhm.
other people. And remember that you are amazing and you're here to conquer.
I
So,
love that. I love it. You're here to conquer.
oh, yeah.
So, Ama, thank you so much, especially coming on last minute to this episode and everything too. I mean, this was a
Yeah, thanks for having
very
me.
awesome episode. I've learned a lot of different things, and I really say it's all about perspective. Everything we talked about is the way you view things and the way you see yourself and the things you want to do. But definitely, I'm excited for the Portography event. I'm excited to see your work and what people create there as well. And if there's any other stuff that you don't want to talk about, then thank you so much for being on the show today. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.